All right, I'm here with TCU left tackle Brandon Coleman. Today we're going to talk a little offensive line for you guys. Also get to know Brandon a little bit more. Brandon, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. Um, so we'll get right into it here. First thing I wanted to talk to you about, I've read you grew up in Germany, born in Virginia, grew up in Germany. What was that like? Where in Germany did you live?
Yeah, I grew up in Berlin ever since
Okay.
I was a couple months old. So it was like, it was like home. That's like home to me. I grew up there, treating it like it was any other place. Like for y'all, home is here. For me, home is there. Yeah, great. Grew up playing basketball. I have all my friends over there. My family's over my German side, my mom. So love it over there.
Yeah, you big Dirk fan?
But yeah, it used to be one of the biggest ones. Now it's the subtle one.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Why were y'all in Germany? Are you a military family or?
Yeah, my dad used to be in the military. My mom's from Germany. She was born and raised there. They met over there. So I was born in Virginia. That's where my dad's from. And then we just moved back a couple months later. And that's where we stayed at.
Okay, that's awesome. So what was it like when you did move here and, originally weren't playing football and then just kind of got dragged into it one day? What was that like? Can you get a little background info on that?
Yeah, so I always wanted to try to play football. My dad played a lot when he was younger. When he was playing in the European League, played a little bit in high school. He was mainly a track athlete. Well, we always tried every sport. So we had like a little cable box where I could watch the NFL games in Germany and stuff like that. So I was always interested. Moved to the States, and they say, yeah, big guy, you should try playing football. So tried out, well, not try out, but I just tried playing football over the summer. Started off playing quarterback for like 2 weeks. It didn't last long because I didn't know anything about the sport itself.
Yeah, yeah, that's tough.
So I was kind of just out there and like, you should move to D line. So yeah, I started playing D line for a year in JV because I transferred to play JV, and then
Hmm.
senior moved me to O line, and that's kind of the rest of the story.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, was there ever a time when you first started playing that you just like got smoked in practice?
Uh, I don't think so. It was
No, you're just
because I,
bigger than everybody, so
I was like a 6'4" guy playing against JV guys, so I
yeah.
think. And then I mean, obviously, in when I went to varsity and made that switch, and I played O line, being new, obviously I got smoked, and I was like
Yeah.
physically so much smaller than people 'cause I didn't lift in Germany at all.
Hmm.
Pretty weak, and I got by my own teammates, D lineman, O lineman during drills. I was just seeming like very weak,
Yeah.
so which I got smoked a couple times.
Yeah. Okay. So, we graduate high school, go off to JUCO, couple years. Can you talk a little bit about your recruitment process from JUCO? What made you pick TCU? What stood out? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I met all the colleges. They all kind of came out there and visited me, but at the time it was Coach Cumby and Coach Thompson that recruited me. And I just thought that they were really genuine people that were close to home, which was important to me just because my dad is here. He can't travel a lot. My sister. And yeah, just when I had that official visit with them, it just felt right. The people were nice. I liked the players a lot, how they were conducting themselves, how TCU was doing things. So for me, it was an easy decision to make.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. So once you got to TCU, what what was it like for you trying to figure out how to balance everything, academics, football, social life? Because it's real different going from a high school JUCO, then now FBS Division One Power Five athlete.
Yeah, so I was never really the social type. I hate going out. We
Okay.
just games. Got a girlfriend, so I'm like pretty like low key when it comes to that stuff. So all I did was play the game after a long day of practice and classes for like a couple hours and went to sleep. But it was easier to adapt to that just because in JUCO you don't really have those help and the resources
Hmm.
here. Like all those academic coaches, advisors, you have like one, but they don't really talk to you. You kind of have to do all that stuff by yourself, and the coaches do it. And here you have a whole department for it, which helped out a lot. Classes you can always adjust to. That's just something you have to get used to, and you just have to get used to how they do things here too. I saw kind of when I visited that TCU was working at a high level and that they worked hard, and that's something that I pride myself in as well. So just having to get used to their speeds, getting used to the players, the coaches, and fitting in was really the hardest part. Which that wasn't really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get going, it kind of you kind of just mold with everybody, and it just feels right.
Okay, that's good to hear. So let's talk about your first year. When did you get your first start, and what was it like to finally, get out there, be part of the starting five in big time Power Five football?
I think when my first year, 2020, I had the season-ending injury where I tore some ligaments in my wrist, so I only played 4 games. But that following year, 2021, is when I had my first start at guard, I believe, left guard.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, at first I was nervous just because first starting in this new league after injury, I always have nerves going. But the guys that we're playing with, having Steve there at the time, Obina Easy, Andrew Coker, all those guys were all tight. So after you got used to kind of being out there and playing and starting getting all those jitters out the way, it felt natural being out there with those guys just because you do so much off the field. You
Hmm.
understand each other to where going out there and play, doing something that you love is just so easy to do.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to my next question. Originally, like you said, you got your first start at left guard. What brought about the transition to left tackle? Because it's obviously something that's worked out really, really well for you.
Mhm.
I've got all the different college preview magazines pulled up, and everybody's got you preseason All Big 12. Pro Football Focus has you as the eighth best graded returning tackle this coming year.
Mhm.
So what brought about that change?
I think it's just my coach. I played tackle up until that year, played right tackle. All through high school and then JUCO as well. And just kind of told me, no, I know how to play tackle, and worked on it in the spring, and then worked on it in the fall, and just stuck with that position. It's kind of just getting back used to it, just because I played it before, and that's what I
Hmm.
started off playing. And yeah, it just worked out. We had guys like Steve Avila and Wes Harris, those were like great players, and like the best guards we had, and then just sticking me wherever they needed to is what I thought was the best idea. What our coach
Yeah.
thought too.
So it's more about fitting needs for the unit as a whole than anything.
Exactly. I mean, you also saw with Steve, he was a center, and everybody thought he was going to be the greatest center, and then he played left guard, and now look where he's at playing guard in the league. So,
Yeah.
we're all just we weren't stuck in our positions. Wherever that he needed us, we're going to play, and that's what we thought was going to be best and what he thought. And that's where we kind of all had that chemistry, is knowing what's best for the team rather than what's best for ourselves.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing about the offensive line is that it really is truly about the team. It's not a about me type of thing. And I always, in my years of coaching, I always enjoyed being around the offensive line guys just for that reason.
Yes, sir.
Um, so talking about last year, uh, new coaching staff comes in, all of the media talking heads really just kind of ignored y'all. It was just, oh, and new coach. We'll maybe see what they look like in a couple of years. And
Mhm.
then next thing you know, you're 12-0, headed into the Big 12 championship. You've won a lot of close games, and now you're starting to get that playoff buzz. So, what was that transition like with the new staff coming in, and then just continuing to win week after week?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was just building up that trust. When I first came in, you don't know them, they don't know you. It's a whole new staff, so obviously it took some getting used to building up that chemistry. But after working with especially that strength staff with Kaz and seeing what they were doing, what they're able to do for us, if we actually gave into their work and what they were giving us to do and how they were doing things, we saw that we could take great strides like we did. Um, and then like we said on the field, it was just about building up that chemistry with the coach, how he was coaching, how we were as players, and just building up that connection. I think that's what helped us a lot too. Is we weren't just focused on the football part and understanding them as coaches, but also as people.
Hmm.
And they were trying to understand us too, not treating us just like a new team, but each person individual, which also helped us, like I said, get to where we got to just because everybody was so close with each other, even with the coaches.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear. There's a little bit of that. It seems kind of all over TCU athletics. The other week, I sat down with Brenna Brossum, who's on the soccer team, and she kind of said a lot of the same stuff. With it, the coaching staff doesn't just care about me as a player; they care about me as a person, and we think that's part of the reason why we've become so successful.
100%.
Um, so, was there a moment within the season where you guys kind of were like, "Hey, like, we might be able to actually run the table here. Like we got it going, and then we're not sure anybody we play is going to beat us."
Uh, I mean, personally, I don't think I ever thought that way, especially the way that we were, always trained to kind of think by Kaz and his staff is just take it round after round. We always relates everything to boxing,
Hmm.
which I like. So just you fight around, you sit back down, which is kind of that Tuesday, Wednesday practice, and then you go fight again next round on Saturday. So you can't really look ahead in the round and say, "Oh, I got to beat this team. I got to beat them then in this round to be able to get there." You just got to keep fighting and fighting. Stay patient. Focus on the opponent you have, and then next thing we know, yeah, we're undefeated, going to Big 12 championship, playoffs, all that stuff. And that's what also got so far as everybody was thinking like that. Nobody got ahead of themselves. Nobody got too big and too cocky.
Hmm.
We're thinking we're TCU. We're going to stay within each other and know what we're capable of, and just prove it week in, week out, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, from my experience, it was always, especially like on the sideline during the game, it's, the only thing you're talking about is the next series. And it's, you might talk a little bit about the last series and how it affects the next series, but other than that, that's all you're talking about. And the best programs tends to have that mentality even when they're not on the football field. No matter what they're doing, it's what do I need to get done right now? And how's that going to help me get where I want to be in the future?
100%.
So let's talk about the Big 12 championship game a little bit. It
Yeah.
came down to the wire, real close game, both teams just kind of going back and forth. And it seemed like it was just kind of finally somebody caught y'all, right? You won a couple of close one score games, last minute wins, whatever. And it was just like the luck finally ran out. So what was it like, going and playing in the Big 12 championship and having it end the way that it did?
Uh, yeah. I mean, obviously, we knew that K State was a great team. We played them before, and was hell of a game. During the regular season, prepared the same we did before. Left everything out on the table. You saw people like the O line give everything. He got Max looking the way he did, playing the way he did. Everybody else, receivers, running backs, the whole defense. It was just we were doing everything we could. It just didn't go our way, and obviously we were sad and we were satisfied with what happening. But like you said, next series, and obviously that day everybody was kind of sad and down. But we also knew we had stuff to do next couple weeks. We had stuff to
Hmm.
win. If it was being fourth seed or third seed in the playoffs, we had to go play a game and had to prepare. And
Yeah.
while we could learn from that game, see what we did wrong, see what we could have done better, and just go into the next game.
Was there ever a moment within the team right after the Big 12 championship where you guys were kind of thinking maybe we're not going to get into the playoff because we lost?
No, I think everybody kind of knew that we were going to be in the playoffs. Maybe not thinking that we were going to be third, but I think everybody's pretty confident. From what I know, who I talked to, that we're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. I know I personally I wasn't with Frogs of War at the time, but I was banging the drum with anybody I could talk to about TCU needing to be in because there just to me there wasn't another option.
Hmm.
So hard loss in the Big 12 championship. How did you guys turn around and start getting ready and prepared to go play Michigan in the playoff?
Uh, yeah, kind of like I was mentioning earlier, is just it's a devastating loss, but obviously the season wasn't over. It's not like that's the end all be all. There's another game to play, a bigger game to play, to get to the national championship. That's what everybody knew. Our coaching staff, our strength staff, made it very clear and helped us out a lot with that mental battle of not getting drugged down by that loss, and focusing on getting better, making corrections on what we did, and then focusing on the next game rather than that we just lost what we did. So just it wasn't really anything else, but just everybody staying on top of each other and make sure nobody kind of goes off course with getting too negative, but just staying focused on the next battle.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the way it needs to be. So we get to the semifinal. You guys jump out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, and everybody that followed college football was just like in shock because really nobody gave TCU a chance. It was kind of like, well, they're going to go play Michigan, and Michigan's probably going to thump them and go play for a national championship game. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, no, that's not what's going to happen. So what was it like, in the stadium on the sideline in that first quarter when you guys just kind of jumped out to that 14-0 lead and really never looked back? The score at the end of the game makes it look closer than the game really was.
Yeah, obviously we were preparing. week in, week out, day in, day out with every practice for Michigan. We had all those doubters and everybody telling us that we're not going to make it, but we're staying inside the team, telling each other, no, we made it this far. Look at the season we had. We have what it takes to be here. And that's what we did. Every day when we prepared, we didn't focus on what Michigan was saying. We were focused on what everybody else was saying. And we were just telling each other we're going to play TCU football. We're not going to adjust it to anybody. We're going to do what we do. That's what we ended up doing. Yeah, we started off maybe a little slow, giving up runs, all that stuff, making it look like whatever. But we are able, to not flinch and recover and just keep playing the brand of football that we did. And obviously, we never looked back. We never really focused on, oh my God, look what we're doing. But it's okay, it's going good. But we also can't let up. We can't let them breathe because they're a team that they're, like they did, they're going to keep it close. So we couldn't let up and give them any room to breathe in that sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know it was awesome to be a part of. It was awesome to watch. One of the best games of last season as a whole. And really, you guys played in quite a few games that were up there, top 5, top 10 best games of last season. Um, so coming off the Michigan win, I'm sure you guys were feeling pretty good. And we go to the national championship game, and it just didn't work out on that night. What was that night like for the team, being on the field, all that?
Yeah, obviously everybody was excited to be there. And I just think that, we prepared as much as we could, but I think mentally people just weren't as locked in as they should be. I know I noticed that too by myself, just being caught up in the moment, national championship, being in LA, the scenery, being there, it's about you. You're the last two teams and kind of getting caught up in that. It's hard not to when it's your first time there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot we just kind of stayed caught up in that moment throughout the game. Georgia did a great job, staying locked in, playing their brand of football, and not kind of flinching off of that. And we weren't able to kind of keep up with that. And I mean, it didn't have the outcome that we did, but we are able to learn a lot from that going into next season, knowing how we should prepare better, knowing how it should be next time.
So perfect segue into my next question here. What are the expectations in the program after last season?
And obviously the same. We're expecting to have the same season as last season. We're gonna expect to win the Big 12. We're gonna expect to win the national championship. That's never going to change, and that's the stand we're going to hold each other to, and the program to as well.
That's awesome. So what has summer looked like for you guys? What's a typical day look like for you right now?
I mean, we work out early at like 5:50 in the morning. Just run, eat breakfast, lift. That's kind of what it is right now. Work on your craft, as much as you can. Get in the film room and then just prepare for fall. Camp is coming up, so a lot more of the football stuff coming in. Getting used to being there, being in the film room, getting on the field, getting in the cleats, all that stuff.
So another good segue here. Let's talk a little bit about the transition. Last year's offensive coordinator Garrett Riley gone to Clemson. In comes Kendall Briles. What has that transition been like? What are your impressions of Coach Briles, and what's the offense going to look like this year?
Yeah, obviously, I think Coach Browse from the president that I got is a great guy, great coach. No, he fits right into the program of wanting to do everything for the players, talking to us, making sure that we're on page with his schemes. We got a bunch of new great additions, transfers and freshman wise for the offense. So I'm just excited to kind of fine tune some things, fully get used to the offense in the fall, and see what we can do week 1.
Now, I don't know if you can tell me this or not, but according to Pro Football Focus, Arkansas was 82% zone run last season. TCU was 58% zone run. So real big difference there in scheme. Is that something that we can expect going into this year? A lot more zone run than last year? Or?
I mean, all I can tell you is if when we do run the ball, we're gonna run it hard and we're gonna make sure that we get some yards. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I didn't watch every single TCU game last year, but I went back recently and watched the Oklahoma game,
Hmm.
and I was amazed at how many times y'all ran GT counter, and it was
Yep.
either hand it off or throw the RPO, and it
Yep.
was like I was telling my wife the other day, and she doesn't care, but I just tell her things like this anyways, and I was just like, that's just bully ball. It's I don't care if you know what play I'm running, we're gonna run it, and you're not gonna stop it. And that to me is the attitude you have to have as an offensive lineman.
Yeah, absolutely.
While we're on that topic, do you have a favorite scheme that you like to run?
Um, I like to run. I really just like to run the ball. Probably like you said, GT. Um, Anything where I have to pull up the guard or tackle, I like to be in space, get out and run. So
Yeah,
favorite.
that's always one of my favorite things to watch is when the linemen start pulling and running in space like that because it's really incredible how athletic you guys are. I tell people all the time, most athletic people on the planet are actually offensive linemen, not the skinny guys who are out wide who run fast. It's the big guys who are moving almost just as fast.
Yep.
Um, so let's talk a little bit. What is the starting five looking like right now? Obviously, there's you and Coker returning from last year, but then there's three new guys going to be stepping in. Who are we looking at filling those spots so far this fall?
Yeah. Obviously, we have Andrew and I, and then John Lance returning. And we're going to be, kind of like an anchor, like a veteran anchor for this O line. Have guys returning like Mike Nichols from an injury, who's going to be a great help for us. Then Willis Patrick, Colton Deary, those guys coming in, and they're working their butts off in the summer, and then Patrick already being here in the spring, kind of getting used to the offense. Those guys are gonna, I think, do well in the fall and give the chance to work a spot into the starting five.
Is there one guy in particular that didn't really play much last season that you think is like poised to get some serious playing time this fall?
Yeah, Mike Nichols for sure.
Yeah,
Um, Especially now that we have some guys leave, have to make some changes. I think he's going to have a great chance to start for us and kind of be very consistent with that as well, and not
yeah.
season cut short to an injury is always bad. And, always sucks, but he's been working his butt off, getting back, trying to get back on the field. So I think he has a chance to have a great season this year.
All right, good deal. So let's kind of shift gears a little more back towards you as a player. Do you have a time where you felt like you faced just the most adversity in your career, where it felt like everything was going against you? What was that like? How'd you overcome it?
Um, it was probably my wrist surgery. Or like that whole kind of thing. I was just transferred to TCU trying to prove that I belong there. Wasn't starting, was rotating off, was getting more playing time, and then I hurt my wrist and had to stop playing after week 4, and then going into spring, thinking I was going to be back, didn't get surgery, just kind of let it rest and try to heal up on itself, and then practice 2, noticed that it wasn't getting better, and then I had to get surgery. So it kind of felt like it was never ending, kind of like a whole year of dealing with that and not knowing if I'm going to be, that guy, if I'm going to be able to. I wasn't able to play. Came from a JUCO, all that stuff. But I had great people around me, great coaches, great teammates that were able to uplift me and just tell me to keep working. My family, obviously, my girlfriend, they're all there for me, and they were able to help me kind of stay focused and not get lost in all that. It's hard to, and it's easy to get lost in those things when you get injured, not able to play. So having people around you that are able to help you is always important.
Yeah, it's real tough, and it's something that a lot of fans don't ever think about. Is they just hear so and so's injured, out for the season, or out for however many weeks, and they don't think about how that turns into not only are you not able to play, but like you're not really around your teammates nearly as much as you used to be because you're going to rehab when they're going to the weight room or
Hmm.
whatever that may be, and so that can become a really really tough thing to deal with as an athlete. A lot of people end up feeling real isolated, and you got to
Yep,
have good people in your corner and people who can help you get through that. And so
for sure.
it's awesome that that was able to happen for you. And seems like it was one of those things that didn't kill you, made you stronger, and uh,
Yeah,
you know, turned into a hell of an offensive lineman afterward.
yes, sir.
Um, Speaking of offensive linemen, do you have any favorite football players? Anyone you try to model your game after?
Um, I don't think model. I watch. When I watch film, I watch a lot of NFL tape. Probably I watch a lot of Jason Kelsey, just
Hmm.
from the interior standpoint. He does a great job, great athlete. When he pulls, I try to be like him because he just does a great job not stopping his feet, just running through contact and finding more work afterwards. Obviously, people like Trent Williams and Lane Johnson. Trent was just a great run blocker as well. Helped me a lot during last season too, just seeing what he does, how he does things, his demeanor,
Hmm.
how he tries to finish people and run through defenders, and then Lane Johnson just overall with his pass block and run blocking. as being as clinical as he is, it's always great to learn from those guys.
Okay. Yeah. What about any skill position guys, or are you just only watching linemen?
I do like oh, I forgot his name. Quarterback, Baltimore.
Oh, Jackson, Lamar.
Yes, Lamar Jackson. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, blank.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the way he plays. I like those type of quarterbacks who can run the
Yeah.
ball. Just very, very electric out there.
Yeah. Lamar was fun to watch when he was at Louisville, man.
Oh yeah,
That dude
definitely
was different on a college field.
watch that tape, see those highlights. So yeah,
Yeah.
love that for sure.
Um, who is the best defensive lineman that you've ever gone up against?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say Felix from K State. He's up there for sure.
Hmm.
And then I think as a D tackle, Keandre Sweat from Texas.
Okay.
You know, Felix is, he's a great athlete, yeah, like any D lineman is, but his motor and his will to make that play is just, I feel like unmatched from anybody I played last year or the past
Yeah.
couple years. Improved last year too before he got drafted. This guy just doesn't give up throughout
Yeah.
all four quarters, which you saw in and the National Big 12 championship, and then also in the regular season game. Keandre Sweat is a huge guy. You gotta always give you 100% to block someone like that. Great athlete as well. So those two for sure.
Okay. Um, this one's kind of random, but I like asking it. What's one thing fans should know about the team this year that they probably don't know already?
Um, I think what people should know is that I think a lot of fans and just people in general think that TCU has drastically changed from last year because we lost who we lost, and oh, it was just a Cinderella story. But just know that we have no intention of doing any less than we did last year. Our team is just as good, if not better, than last year, and we're gonna have that same intention of winning what we did and then doing what we did last year this year as we did last year.
Okay. I like that. It's reload, not rebuild. We're
Exactly.
past that. Yeah, I like
Yep.
that. Are there any true freshmen who were in during the spring that stuck out to you?
Um. Yeah. Our freshman linebacker backs. He was great. He ran with the ones a lot. He stood out to me. Um. And I feel like that's really from the spring. That's the only one that I really noticed, just because that I only see the defensive guys. I don't really look at the receivers like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, most of our freshmen came in the summer too, and we have great potential there. Great athletes are working their butts off. So I'm excited to see what they're gonna do in fall camp.
yeah. I've been doing a little preview series on Frogs of War where I've been looking at the high school film of the incoming recruits, and there's some serious talent that has made its way in, and it'll be fun to see those guys in the fall.
Yeah, definitely.
I got two more for you, and then I'll get you out of here. Best advice you've ever received?
Best advice. I think the best advice I received is to not let things dwell like on your mind. Life goes on, and that's what I also kind of told myself when I had that injury. That's what I had to tell myself when I couldn't play basketball anymore because I had aspirations and a dream to go to the NBA. Playing basketball for 12 years, that was a sport that I live for, and I still live for. I still try to play whenever I can.
Hmm.
Um, but there's things in life that you just can't influence. You can't change. They're gonna happen. All you can do is keep working and outwork the guy next to you, no matter who it is, for your teammate or if it's the best guy in the nation. You want to always beat that guy and have that relentless work ethic about you.
Yeah, I love that, and that'll take you infinitely further in life than anything you're probably learning in your college classes.
Yeah. Bro.
uh, so speaking of what's your plan after college? What's next?
Obviously, I'm a prepare for the draft and then enter this upcoming year. But yeah, I mean, after football, whenever that is, want to stay in sports. Either become like a performance coach or a recruiter for international athletes. People
Okay.
have that might need help from European League or wherever they play at to get to the NFL or to get started here to have kind of a someone that can help them and guide them.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I hadn't really given that much thought, and Now I'm thinking about it. I saw the other day Alabama signed like a four-star linebacker from Germany.
Yeah, and they also signed a 5-star lineman from I think Finland.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, football's getting big in Germany, Europe in general. So there's going to be a lot of people that will need that help. So I think I can be someone to help them out and be there
Yeah,
for them.
absolutely. That would be pretty sweet career transition there. That would fit real well.
Yes, sir.
Um, Well, that's all I've got for you question wise. I once again really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know the Frogs of War fans are going to be real excited to see this one, and we wish you guys the absolute best this fall, and look forward to getting out to a couple practices, and hopefully I can get to meet you in person there, and we'll get rolling here at the end of August, and hopefully we get another 12-0 season on board.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That's the